and you will submit the job. You will submit the job eventually via portal because it was assigned to you. Important to note here is if you don't end up using, or sorry, if you do end up using your exported job file for a live job for whatever reason, and you import that job, autosave will no longer work. So you have to go back to the import export saving if you go that route for whatever reason, if you have to use your backup save method. So even though it is still a live job that has a due date, if you import it, you're not working on it live. So I just wanted to clarify kind of that terminology there. Do we have any questions about that specifically or anything I've said so far? Some more terminology. Exporting jobs or exporting files from the VTC. When you generate the Word file, that's when you download a Word transcript of your VTC transcript. So you're going to do that at the end of your job when you're done editing in the VTC and you're ready to finalize it in Word and submit it, or not submit it if it's a practice job. And you'll export a job. That's download a compressed zip file of the VTC job file. So it has the audio in there, the transcript, the DR notes. When you export that, that's how you're saving it during your practice jobs, or you're exporting your live job as a backup file. So I just wanted to differentiate between those two.
Hey, Lindsay, I'm sorry. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is, would it be possible at the end to do just a quick, like, live demonstration of an import export
Yeah, absolutely.
on just one file, just so we can see that
Yeah,
that was the part of the explanation and reading it all that seemed to me to be the most confusing. The rest of it seemed okay.
yeah. Let me just go ahead and do that right now.
Because when you talk about exporting a zip file, I mean, does that mean creating a new file each time as we're doing our work? In other words, as we're doing a normal job right now, you just click a disk icon and it saves your work and you keep on going. But it sounds like it's more involved to, every 5-10 minutes be saving your work.
Yes, unfortunately, right now it is a little more involved. I will recommend if you're exporting the file to save it, to overwrite the file every time if during your practice, not to have, the job name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just overwrite the same one every time to save space. But yes, it is a little bit of a cumbersome process for right now. And of course, that's something we're looking at improving in the future. But for now, with the practice jobs, that is what we have to do. Can everyone see my screen? I'm on the VTC sign on page. Okay, so right now, when I log in, because I have access to all the jobs, I can see any of these jobs and I can open them. And if I open them, I'm going to be in a live job. Um, However, I have the orange ellipses, which means that there's not available for whatever reason, but the green one means that it is. So I'm just going to double click on this. And this is for a live job. And this is opening a job. So you'll either double click on it from your home screen, or you'll use the search bar up here to search for it and then double click on it in your home screen. And it loads and you can see I have my auto save up here. Right now I have unsaved changes, but if I clicked it, it would save. And then when I'm done, I can just close the job and it'll auto save my progress. It's going to take a second because it's uploading, it's trying to load everything right now. And then I'll show you how to import.
Right, but this is a live job that automatically shows up when you open your VTC. When we're loading a
Yes.
practice job, we first have to import it and then export it as we go. Just
Right.
clarifying
Yes.
here. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. I was just showing the live job first. And then now to import, you'll click right here where it
All
says
right.
import job. And then, so I have mine and they're a zip file, a compressed zip file. Double click to open. And then you'll see up here that you don't have that save icon. And if I want to save it, I'll file, export job. I'm going to take a second because it's still loading the audio. Any questions while we're waiting for it to load?
don't work well on Zoom.
I'm asking a lot of my internet right now.
Uh, Anyone else have a question while we're waiting for technology to catch up with us? Is it along? Oh, it's your treehouse internet.
It's, um,
It's
how
not
would I
something,
pop?
yeah, okay, it's not something you've gotten to yet, but what would be the reason to use a standard view versus a transcript view? When I was going through, I wrote down a couple of questions.
That's a total preference. It's up to you if you want to focus on the transcript and only focus on the words, for example, and not really focus on the formatting. For whatever reason, if you're just proofreading and you've already done the formatting during your scoping phase and you want to keep the meta formatting out of it, maybe you don't like this font, you might like to have the standard view. I personally prefer to have the transcript view because I like to see what it looks like. But I've seen folks in the community who prefer the standard view. So there's no real reasoning either way. Obviously, you'll have to use the transcript view to edit the meta pages, but in terms of editing the transcript, it's really just personal preference.
Hey, thanks. Also, what the green line that shows up on the transcript here and there, is that just where your cursor is? Underneath the
It's
word?
actually where the audio is.
Oh,
Which typically is where your cursor is. I believe it's linked. I have that on my list to ask the dev team because it used to be that we could separate the playhead, the audio playhead, and your cursor. Right now, my green playhead's not showing because my audio is not loaded. But that is where the audio is. So if it's green right here and you press play, that's where the audio is going to start playing from.
is it what I think I observed is that we have no way to see the exhibits now through this process?
So you mean like the actual like PDF exhibits?
Yes.
Yeah, so you'll have to get them from the portal still at this point. So any files that you would normally access through the portal, you'll still access them from the portal. Eventually, we do hope to have in the exhibits pane the ability to click on and open the exhibit in the portal, but we just don't have that yet.
Okay.
But you're still expected to find those in the portal and use them as you normally would.
Okay, great. Okay.
And we will have that. So, yeah.
And is the audio that you can see on your screen right here, is that like it's if you want to not bother with the foot pedal briefly or something that you can just use it? Okay.
Yes, yeah, you can press play there, and then we also have the there's a keyboard shortcut as well to like control spaces, play and pause. So yeah, totally up to you if you want to use buttons, keyboard shortcuts, or your foot pedal.
Okay, thanks. I think those are all my questions. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay,
Lindsay, I
technology is
had a
working.
question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
When I was messing around in the VTC, this sample one, it seems that there are occasionally like a little circle with like a person's head and body in it rather than a cue. And when I would click on it, it's still the speaker ID is still assigned to, Adam Attorney, but it's not a cue or it's not his speaker token. Is that supposed to be there? Will that show up later whenever I download it into a Word document and pop up just clean as can be?
No, it will not show up later. And this is actually a new feature in one of our latest releases. So I apologize, it is
Yeah.
not in the guide yet. But what this
Okay.
is intended to do is make it clear when it's a second paragraph and there's not going to be a speaker token, whether it's a Q or colloquy or A, but you still know who the speaker is. Because sometimes, we've got someone speaking for like 3 pages of text. And sometimes something sneaks in, you've pressed Control 2 and you've accidentally assigned the wrong speaker. This is just so you can make sure it's the same person there. So it's just more of like an indicator for you to know who's speaking. And then you click on it and it'll tell you. And if you were to change it to that, it would then change to his correct speaker token. So it just makes it a little easier too. If it is actually supposed to be someone else, you can make that change a little easier.
Per paragraph?
Yes, each paragraph,
Okay.
each continuation paragraph. So if we did another one, do it right here, we'll get another one.
Cool.
Okay, thank you. That didn't quite click with me.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll get in the guide here soon. And now that technology is working, I will go ahead and export the job. And we do have instructions in the user guide for how to set up your spread your Google settings so that you have the option. It'll pop up and ask you where you want to save, and you can decide how you want to name it. So if I had this one, so say I save it here, and then I do some more work and I want to save it again. It'll offer me, you know, that little one in front of it. Well, instead, I'll just click on that right there and overwrite it and say, yes, I want to replace it. And then I'll close out of the job. And then when I'm ready to re-import that job, I can find it right there. And you can see the changes that I just made with these enters are still here. So does that answer your question, Zach, about the import and export?
Yeah, I probably made too big a deal out of it. Apologize.
No,
Thank you.
trust me, can be confusing because then sometimes your browser wants to go into the file, into the zip file, and people are trying to import like random little files. So yeah, no, it's good to clarify. All right, I'm gonna pop back over to my presentation. All right, next I want to talk about the editing process in the VTC. So scoping an AI transcript is different. It's different than what we're used to when scoping a human-produced transcript. So it's very important to remember that the VTC is a tool. It will never produce a perfect transcript, and it's not supposed to. It's just supposed to save you time by doing some of the manual work of transcribing the first draft. And remember, the AI is transcribing based on how words sound phonetically, based on what they know, based on what their database has. So you should never trust the AI transcript over yourself. You're the transcriptionist. You will certify the transcript. Any mistakes are going to be on you. The VTC is not replacing you. It's providing a service that you can leverage to save time and make more money as a result. And while the VTC can be an incredible tool for audibles, again, it's just not always right. So you always have to trust your gut. Ask yourself, what would you have transcribed if the AI had not transcribed what was written in front of you? If the word or phrase makes sense in context and you feel comfortable, then yes, absolutely include it. And that happens a lot where the AI got it and you hear it and you're like, oh, that's obviously what they're saying. But if you hear it and you're like, that's just not, I can't tell what it is myself, but I really don't think it's that. Trust yourself. You know better than the AI. The AI is just putting anything on the page where you may have put in an audible. So always analyze it with a really keen eye and keen ear, and trust yourself. So I wanted to clarify here that the VTC is intended to take over the second step of the transcript production process and remove your first step as the transcriptionist. So everything else editing-wise proceeds as usual. You still have to scope, proofread, and finalize it as usual. You just don't have to type everything out to begin with. You do still have to verify every word, though. So in terms of using the audio file, so right now, the VTC can only play the COM audio file, but you can still use your external audio player while editing in the VTC. So you're still expected to use the backup audio file as you normally would, and refer to it when needed. And we are working as fast as we can on getting it possible to have both audio files in the VTC. When it comes to editing the VTC meta pages, it can get really tricky because these are formatted so nice and neat that it can almost fool you into believing that the content is going to be perfect as well. But just remember that the information in the VTC panes is input by the DR. We're pulling it from the job info file. So trust it as much as you trust the job info file. You still need to review and edit all provided information. And then, of course, provide DR feedback as usual. If something's incorrect, just because it's in the VTC, we still need that DR feedback. And still review the formatting on all meta pages. So the VTC is formatting something for you, but if you are working on a special client transcript and you realize that this isn't really how it's supposed to be, I feel like it should look like something else. Um, Fix it when we get to Word and report that. So don't trust that just because you put in the right stuff that it's going to format it perfectly. We still need you to verify the formatting and the order on all meta pages, for example. If the index page orders get out of sync, the sections on there, we need to know that because that means a bug has happened in the back end of the software. And as a reminder, the VTC transcripts should be indistinguishable from Word transcripts. So any formatting that you would normally apply to your Word transcript should also be applied to the VTC transcripts. So when it comes to the VTC panes and the connections that are there, always try to troubleshoot on your own. Everything's connected to something else in the VTC, which is cool and helpful, but it can also be confusing when you're trying to work with something on the back end and you forget that it's connected to something kind of more further upstream. So for example, your examination settings, where you start and end them, who you set as the questioner and answerer, that's going to affect your formatting. So if all of a sudden the Q&A formatting isn't working, don't just assume something's gone wrong. Go back to those examination settings, kind of go backwards in time in terms of what you did, go back, like kind of retrace your steps, make sure everything's formatted correctly, make sure you started and ended the examination correctly. Then if you verified all of that, that means something is wrong. Same with examination placement, wherever that heading is, that's going to be on the index page. So if you go to the index page and see that it's not there, that means that it wasn't placed correctly in the transcript, or vice versa. If something's on there, there's double examination listed on the index page. You need to click on those little page numbers, find it in the transcript, and fix it. Don't just assume that the index page made an error on its own. Remember that adding, editing, and removing fields in the job information pane is going to affect the meta pages. This can be really frustrating with plaintiffs and defendants. If the DR has just put 5 defendants in one field, we have to separate them out into 5 different fields to make the formatting and the representation appear correctly. But when we do that, it might remove one of the defendants from their representation and who they were assigned to, which means you'll have to go down to the appearances and reassign them. This is laid out in the guides, so I know that sounds a little confusing just speaking it, but just know that sometimes your actions will have these negative effects, and you kind of, again, have to like retrace your steps, think about what I did, and realize it's not going to be perfect. But knowing kind of where these connections are can definitely help you figure these out more quickly and then avoid them in the future as well. A couple more of the speakers, or just one more actually, just the speakers pane affects the speaker IDs. People will say, oh, this is showing first name, last name, or there's this weird space in here. That's always going to come from the speakers pane. We're missing the honorific, we're missing the role, something like that. So just always remembering about those connections and trying to retrace your steps again, make sure all the linkage is lining up, because that's kind of the best part about the VTC is that we can put in a witness name and it's going to appear on the cover page and in the swear in and in the speaker's pane, and it's all going to be correct. And we don't have to worry about accidentally spelling it the wrong way in this one instance. But then again, we have to know where those connections are to make sure we're using them appropriately. So I think that is it. Any questions?
Let's do one.
I have a couple questions that have come in. One is about how to delete an extra examination header.
Okay, we're fine. Let's say I want to start one here. So you have to go to where the examination header actually is, like the wording, control, right click. You can either edit or remove. If you remove, it's gone. And if you were to edit it, it would open the settings screen and you would be able to reset those question, answer, and type.
That trigger any other questions along the same lines or on the editing side? You guys might just be getting into this, I understand, but okay. Another question is about Express Scribe audio. How to get the audio to Express Scribe, I believe is the question. Michelle, you can clarify, which you probably can't show. Well,
I
you
can't
might.
show necessarily, but I'm thinking you're asking how to play the Express Scribe while we're in here. And it comes down to disconnecting your audio, your foot pedal. So search on the VTC community for that. And I think it's in the guide as well. But you basically just disconnect your foot pedal from the VTC, connect it to Express Scribe as usual, and upload it as usual. And then you can edit in the VTC without your foot pedal affecting the audio.
And I think you said you had the other 3 questions incorporated, then those top 3 that came in. Okay.
Well, there have been a lot of complaints from current users about the audio system that's built into the VTC. Is that why that question is being asked?
It's probably more of a backup, but
Okay. All right.
It's just the fact that the backup audio can't be played in the VTC. So if you want to work with the backup audio, you'll have to use your external audio. Yeah.
Right. I saw that last night. Thank you.
Yeah. And the good thing, the kind of magic thing about this, about the VTC, this is not just AI technology, right? Obviously, it's a lot more. And it's a lot more than exists anywhere out there in the market. And so even talking about audio quality and the audio player, right? When you're looking at Express Scribe and you like this, that, or the other, because this is ours and we have really skilled subject matter experts working on the development of this. And, Santiago, for example, has a vast amount of knowledge about manipulating and managing audio quality and really discerning it. So when we're looking at this as a player or playing at the backup and what can we do, we're not just taking a third party and saying, oh, this is the best one out there. We're learning from it for sure, but we'll keep developing, so we have not just replications of what's out there, but better than what is out there. So it's like, what is out there and the best being used? How can we put it to our use, and how can we one up it? Especially in the quality that it provides, but also in the connection that it provides overall to the job. So don't think small. When you have ideas about how things might work or could work, we're not thinking small. It's definitely big picture. Let us know that and keep that in mind that, again, like Lindsay said, we won't be necessarily allowing X to happen, but we will allow Y to happen in getting the same result in a different way that is either more secure or more sustainable or that we just own and can own the continued development of. What else? Do you have more presentation, Lindsay?
That was it. I do again want to harp on just the transcript itself, you being the editor, just do not fall into the trap of trusting the AI, because it will mess up your quality, right? And it's not a good way to train your brain. It can be really, really hard. Everyone has said that it's just very challenging. You're used to trusting a transcript that a person has transcribed, whether it's yourself or someone else. Yeah, typically you, yes. And that alone adds another aspect to it. You've heard this audio before. You've kind of had time to think on it. This is your second time hearing it, kind of thing. So it can be really challenging. So be patient with yourself and don't worry if you're like, how am I missing these content errors? It's all about retraining your brain, and it can be challenging. But once you get there, it can definitely just be a really amazing tool that can help you.
Yeah. I saw an announcement in the last few days from Blue Ledge, and there's a new ASR scoping course that they have available. I'm going to look at that, and I'll probably repost it to the community too. It looks like a pretty short, impactful course that might be helpful. So we'll put that out there for as a reminder or help potentially. I saw really amazing YouTube videos. That might be a fun thing to share as well. Just videos or depicting the difference between or how your eyes can lead your ears, right? And if you're hearing something that's whatever gobbledygook, if you're prompted by something you see, how it completely impacts what you think was actually said. And so that's part of, and I don't know, I doubt that that's the Blue Ledge training, but it really enlightening to me to see. Is like, oh, I was sure that they said, give me the peanut butter, when they actually said my dog needs a bath, right? And how what you're seeing in front of you, the written word, can truly impact it. And you guys know all of this as transcriptionists, what it's like, those connections between ears, eyes, and fingers. And so this is just another layer into that body-mind connection. Fun stuff. Any other questions? Any things we should know about? We're here to keep receiving, learning.
I will say, in addition to the feedback on the actual VTC, please feel free to post feedback on the learning in the VTC community as well, the practice transcript course, the user guide, especially if you see an error and something needs to be changed, absolutely post it, but also, oh, I'd love to see more videos. I wish we could see more of this, things like that, because we're improving the learning as well. The beta testing didn't have hardly anything. We had a little tiny user guide for them for pretty small software, and it's expanded into the course and the transcripts and the user guide. So we want to, again, customize that to you all, how you're using it, what best is going to work, what's going to work best for you, just like the software itself.
I could make a quick recommendation about some of the videos that you have don't have sound, don't have audio associated with them. And, it is helpful to hear the explanation especially because some of them run through so quickly.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Watch them a couple of times, that were things that were a little bit tricky to understand. So if there was an audio to go along with the video, that would be helpful too.
Absolutely. I will add audio to them.
I understand. Sorry, Tina, I misunderstood the question that you posted to be that question. I thought you were having audio issues with the webinar, but now I get it. Thank you, Wendy, for asking that or sharing that. Cool. All right, we're here for you guys. I hope that this is enjoyable. I know learning things can be challenging. I hope it's kind of fun too. And let us know how we can help you be more successful. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was really very, very helpful. Thanks.
Good. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.